Now, welcome to the Effective Presentation Skills module. Don't shoot your audience down and sabotage your results. Poor presentation skills can surely do it for you. If you agree with me, I think so. There are many places where you have gone for presentations, for meetings, where either you have shot down people or most of the times it must be you have been shot down. And have you seen the moment that the presenter or the organizer of the meeting has shot down the audience, he has sabotaged his own result. So don't shoot your audience down. Okay? This is the message that I want to give. So let us look at 7 tips. How can I create an impact in my presentations? Whether it is my meeting or whether it is my presentation or I'm leading a workshop, anything, any presentation that I want to make. Opening, critical. An opening is where you actually make your first impression. And it is said that the first impression is always the lasting impression. So have a powerful opening. We are going to go into details of each one of them. So I'm not going to talk much about the opening or details about it. We're just looking at the 7 tips that I have for you. Engagement. I'm sure if you go back and when you have been shot down in a presentation, what does it mean? That presentation must have been about the presenter, I, me, and myself, with very less or no consideration for the audience. I'm sure that's where you felt shut down. Engagement is the only way how we can overcome this challenge. There are many presenters, they have great results to share, but because they don't take care of their audience and they don't bother to engage the audience, their presentation goes for a toss. Engagement is critical. Third is questions. Questions is one way of engaging people, but you got to plan your questions. Also, yeah, in a PowerPoint presentation. Now, many times people will not use a PowerPoint presentation. If you don't use a PowerPoint presentation, it's completely okay. You can do presentations without PowerPoints. But if you do have to use PowerPoints, there is a large audience and you want to reach a larger audience, then PowerPoint makes a better sense because a person sitting back of the room uh, also can see what is there on the PowerPoint. And visuals make an impact in the room. So the more visuals you have, the PowerPoint. Now you have to make innovative ways of creating PowerPoints which are very interesting. Okay, don't have drab PowerPoints. So we'll work on that also. How do I create a PowerPoint presentation which is very interesting? Your preparation cannot be undermined. Sorry. Your preparation cannot be undermined. In fact, if you really look at it, it's all about you. It's not about the presentation. It's all about you. How do you present yourself is what is critical. How you present your case is more important than the presentation itself, more important than the PowerPoint itself. So prepare. Room layout can be considered and lighting, very important. We'll look about the details of the room layout and lighting when we come to this particular stage, but there are times when you have to take care of the room layout and lighting and equipment that you are going to use if you want to make a powerful impact. Closing is as much important in presentations as much as openings. You must have a memorable opening and a memorable closing. This is very important. Okay, so let us look at the pearls of opening. What are the different pearls that we have on opening? Okay, most important is to grab attention. In the first 3-4 minutes, you have to learn to grab attention. Now, I think so by making that outrageous statement, don't shoot your audience. I think so that's a way of grabbing attention. This is not how normally PowerPoints are started. So by making unusual statements, unusual statistics, you can learn to grab attention. You have many ways of grabbing attention. Okay. Why we need to grab attention? Because statistics have said that people People are super quick in judging. In fact, in the first minute, they have made their judgments. In the next 3 minutes, they justify their judgments. It is that fast, and hence grabbing attention is so critical when you just enter the room or you're already there present in the room. You have to grab attention as early as possible, as quickly as possible. In the first 30 seconds, grab the attention. Now I remember when I was getting trained as in my leadership program, why they would insist that the mic of the leader must be on before he goes inside the room. It is so critical. They need to grab that attention. Okay. Outlining incidents. Now, what is outlining an incident? This is a beautiful way of engaging people. It's not telling a story. So, how would I give you an example? Let me give you an example. Let me tell you, let's say that I am inviting you for this particular presentation. And I tell you, you got a mail from me that I'm making a call to you. Let's say I'm making a call to you. Oh, hello. Are you ready for the presentation of your lifetime? This presentation, your attendance is very critical, and it will change your way of making presentations, and it will turn around your life completely. You will make such powerful, impactful presentations after this session that you will attend. So you are invited. How about I wanted to get up from the room. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is not outlining an incident. So you have been invited for this presentation. You get up from your seat, you pick up your tablet, your book, your pen, paper, and you start walking. You're wondering, you got this wonderful mail from Rajendra Mothe saying that this is one of the most impactful presentation to sessions that you will be attending. It can transform your life completely, the way you present yourself. And so make sure that you are present over there. So you've been thinking as you start getting up and walking towards the meeting presentation room, there are so many thoughts that have come to your mind. What could be the presentation about? What could be the topic? You are aware of the topic, but how good is the presenter? And as you're walking, there are lots of other thoughts. You're completely engrossed in your own thoughts, and you reach the door of the presentation room. There is a welcome sign on the board, and there is a small smile on your face. You open the door, and the presenter is already there. He says, "Welcome, sir. Welcome to my presentation. How about taking a seat which you are very comfortable about? Do you need my help in that?" Now you go sit yourself in a place where you are comfortable. Maybe you know some few people in the room, so you go and sit in that place. The questions that were going have taken care of to a certain extent. They are slowly dying down because as you entered the room, there was a beautiful ambience present over there. Light music, lovely fragrance in the room. And that music was so engaging that you get lost in that. All the questions that you had about the presentation, about the presenter, completely died down. And suddenly, you heard the presenter saying, "Welcome to the presentation." And you wake up from your slumber. Now, this is what I call outlining an incident, where you experienced going through the whole story. You got up from your chair, you walked on the aisles, you saw the welcome board, smile, the invitation, uh, the welcome inside the room by the presenter, the lovely fragrance, the music, everything you experienced it. That is what is outlining an incident. And it is really a powerful methodology where you actually engage the entire audience because each one goes through their own experience. Another way of engaging opening is asking a question, making an unusual statistics, unusual statements, uh, declaring which will grab their attention. You can also have show of hands. How many people agree that you have been shot down at some point of time when the presentation you have attended and you lost your interest completely in the first 3-4 minutes? Can you show me? Raise your hands. Now, the more you get engagement from the people, the more the powerful opening, because you have grabbed their attention. Of course, humor is another way of using at the opening. So use the tools to make a very powerful opening. Engagement. Engagement of an audience is so critical that if you don't engage your audience, you are going to lose them. In today's world, the attention spans of people have become so pathetically low that engagement is the only way you can keep them alive in any conversation. Okay, the presentation or the meeting must be more of a dialogue than a monologue. There are times when you have a monologue presentation, but we are not going to go into that arena. Here we are going to talk about how do I engage the participants, whether it's a meeting, whether it's my presentation, whether it's a workshop. The more dialogue that I have, the better it is, the more engagement is there. Now, I have not mentioned this in this, but what comes to my mind is that I must be present to the, I must be sensitive to the energy of the room. Okay. If you are a kinesthetic person, you will understand what is sensing of energy. Everybody senses energy, the sudden drop of energy, sudden rise of energy. You got to be present. What is the energy of the entire group? Okay. And you will be able to handle the room much better, the engagement much better. That energy tells you whether it is low. I still remember one time, there was a time when there were mass layouts in Bombay, in Jet Airways. I remember the first morning we get up and we saw 1500 people kicked out of Jet Airways. We had a presentation on that day. We had a session on that day. I reached the place and I found that each and every participant of mine was in such, it was so low, they were so low in energy that I had to pump up the energy. They were not planned, so I had to create an energy. I had to pump it up. I made one, they do a very vigorous exercise in the morning so that they could they shock out of their negativity, and that's how we could start the session. So engagement is also understanding the the emotional tone of the people whom you are engaging, whether it's a meeting or a presentation. Okay. Appropriate exercises and activities, as I rightly said, that you have to be present. Of course, you're going to plan the exercise and activities. Activities to just to break the ice is perfectly fine. Sometimes it is done, especially in the afternoon sessions when people are very groggy, heavy food. The environment outside is very, the energy itself is very low. That is the time where you can use some energizing activities so that they break out of slumber. So use exercises and activities appropriately. You can use the same things in your team meetings as well. No harm in that. Okay. If you want to discuss a topic, then allow it as a group discussion rather than you telling them something about something. You get them engaged and get the answers from the group. It is important for you to trust the group intelligence. It is so critical. The group is intelligent and group is much more intelligent than you. Let me tell you, this is my experience that the group is 10 times more intelligent than I am. So if I trust the group intelligence, I will be able to draw out the answers that the topic requires so that that topic becomes an engaging aspect of their people, of the participants. And that's how they can learn. That's how you will be able to present yourself properly. Okay. The next, asking questions. We already discussed about the smaller group discussions that we have. If you want to discuss the topic, put that into smaller groups, let them discuss on the table, and collectively then you can debrief and get the answers from the group itself. You have to plan your questions, but as I said, at the spur of the moment, listening is an important aspect of a facilitator. Whether it's a meeting facilitator, a presentation, what we are talking about, you as a facilitator needs to be present in the room. You need to be present to each and every person. What is their body language? What's their energy, kind of thing. If you are present to the energy of the room and the energy of the people around you, you will be able to plan, you will be able to ask right questions at the right time. Of course, you have planned some questions earlier, but in the spur of the moment, you can always have some questions which you can define at the spur of the moment. Avoid close-ended questions. What are close-ended questions? When you get a yes or no as an answer. If I go and ask my child, how is school today? What are you going to say? Good. Did you do your homework? Yes. How was the game? Good. Okay. So these are typically close-ended questions. It closes the conversation. Avoid answer implied questions. I'll give you two examples of what I mean by answer implied questions. If I talk to the meeting, if I am in a meeting now, there are 5, 6 people in the room, and if I say, this meeting is in 30 minutes, right? Am I right? Now, what am I expecting? I'm expecting the answer, yes, it ends in 30 minutes. But the same things can be asked in a different way. Do we require 30 minutes for this meeting? Is 30 minutes enough, or do we really require something more than 30 minutes? I'm asking the same thing. But one is an answer implied. I want to end the meeting at 30 minutes. So let us come to a consensus, the first one. The second one opens up the conversation. And if it is required, if the group feels that it is required more, then you can allocate a little bit more time for the meeting. So don't avoid answer implied questions, answers that you are expecting, a particular answer that you are expecting. Avoid it. Okay. Avoid opinions in the room. You will get a lot of opinions because there are so many smart Alex who are much better than you in the topic than you think you are. And that's when they can learn to hijack your sessions. I have been through this harrowing situations many times in my life. Okay. So avoid opinions, but if opinions do come up in the session, you must know how to handle them. You must know how to handle them. Okay. So no problems about opinions. Over a period of time, when you master the skill of presentation and handling a group, you will be able to handle these opinions because the smart Alex are the people that I want in my room. I can use them to bring the point that I want in the room. Just I have to be skilled enough how to handle them. Okay, make them talk. It's not your, it is while it is your presentation. When you make them talk, you are more in control of the conversation. You will be able to steer the conversation when you make them talk. So that's the questions part of it. PowerPoints are not a necessity. You can give amazing presentations without PowerPoint. However, if the room is large and you want the last person also to be engaged, because it's very difficult if the room is large and you're speaking to 2,000 people at a time, then PowerPoint is very much necessary because visuals are important. They paint 1,000, it said the picture paints 1,000 words. Now, how do I design my PowerPoint? So you don't have to put too much information on each slide. So 6 lines per slide. Okay. Now you might say that you are saying 6 lines per slide, but your PowerPoint right now has more than almost 11 lines per slide. Now, great point. You caught me. Now, obviously, I'm smart enough because I have deliberately did that. If this was a presentation that I was giving in a large room, I would make this slide into 2 or 3 slides so that I can pump up the font, use color sparingly, use some kind of animation so that I can become engaging, and it automatically becomes highlighted. Okay. So because this is an online presentation, everyone can read this. So I'm not covering it into 3 slides, 4 slides. Typically, normally in a large group presentation in a classroom, I would be covering this as 1, 2, 3 slides. I will cover this same topic in 3 slides and not in 1 slide. Okay, so this is how you can custom build your PowerPoint presentation depending on where are you presenting. So have more and more visuals. We all are visuals. So have more visuals. Use color sparingly. You don't have to have Technicolor on the screen. The minimum number of colors acceptable are 3. Pumping up your fonts. Use highlighting and avoid vertical. You don't want people to turn their neck and, oh, what have you written? Let me read this. Okay. So that's a no-no for a PowerPoint presentation. You can give them handouts where you have vertical lettering if you feel like that's how you want to present it, perfectly fine, but give that as a handout and not in a PowerPoint. Okay. To make points, use bullets. Because remember, you are the presentation, not the slides. Okay? So make bullets to make your points clear. Take care of the contrast. There has to be a good contrast between the background and the fonts color. Okay? Don't use, if I imagine if I use light blue color font over here on the light blue background, the person in the room, it becomes very, very irritating. Okay? Uh, so take care of the contrast. No dumping of data. Don't push too much of data onto the slide. If you want to present some data, give a separate handout. Have a slide saying, please refer to the handout number 1 that I have given you. And this is what I want to give you. This is the information that I want to pass on. It is a much better way of, it also engages the participant. It engages the person in the presentation. Plus, you're avoiding that huge number of numbers, statistics, and all that stuff is not really required. It also helps you that you're not reading from the slide. You must have noticed that I don't read from the slide. I am using the slide as a cue. I will refer to the slide because sometimes, because it's my preparation, these are the cues, these are the bullets, this is what I need to talk about. Right? So don't read. It kills the credibility of the speaker one hell of a lot. Don't read it. Okay? It's your presentation. The presentation is you and not the slide. So you should be able to do it without the presentation. There are times when I have gone to a presentation room and nothing of the equipment worked. I have given presentations without the slide. Don't worry, you will be good with practice because you are the presenter. You are the presentation, not the slides. Okay. Now, opportunity plus what is equal to success? What do you think? If you know what am I talking, it's one word, type it out in the chat box. Opportunity plus dash is equal to success. Yes, friends, your preparation is the key. It is important for you to prepare however good you are in your topic. Remember that the audience are different. The whole presentation becomes dynamic because you're in different place. You might have given this presentation 100 times in different places, but each presentation is different. Okay. I have seen that there are times when I have thought about a presentation. There are 3 kinds of presentations: what I thought about, what I prepared, and what I delivered. I have to keep on changing that dynamic, or that kind of dynamism must be there in your presentation, and that can happen when you're prepared. Okay. So let's go deeper into preparation. Preparation is the real key. It's all about you. Forget about the slides, forget about the presentation, forget about every damn thing. It's about you. People buy you and not the presentation. If you want to make an impact, you must be selling yourself in the presentation. I remember one time when I had gone to Germany for a particular, I had gone to one exhibition in Düsseldorf, and there was this particular stall which was so huge that I was skeptical of entering into that stall. I said, what will a small person like me talk in this particular? But it was an important stall that I had to, because my father had a dream about that particular product. That stall was, it was a company called Crown Cork and Seal Company. It was one of the largest crown cork manufacturing company in the world. Crown corks are corks which we require in the Coca-Cola bottle and all those things. Those are crown corks. And PP caps are those caps that are there on the medicine bottles. So it was one of my father's dream, and it took me 3 days for me to enter that stall. But the way I spoke to that person, I think so it was the Southeast Asia manager who wrote down my name that pass the presentation, we'll get connected to each other. Now, when I came back, uh, I was very dejected because nothing really happened, and I didn't find that it was too much of expense, and I did not really enjoy the whole thing. I had one of my mentors who said that Raju, you're thinking about what you haven't got. Look at what's the impact that you created over there. And suddenly I realized that, oh shit, this person has written down my name to get called in after the presentation. That means there is something that I did. That was my preparation. That is what I'm saying. People buy you and not the product. So it is important for you to design your presentation according to the mapped audience. When I give the presentation to professionals, the setup is a little different. If I'm talking to students, the setup has to be different. The exercise will be different. The examples taken will be different. So you have to design, and that can come when you're prepared for it. Design your presentation, mapping your audience. Remember, what is VAKOG? Anyone? If you know what is VAKOG, type in the chat box. What is VAKOG? For people who don't know, it is a part of NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming, and it says that these are the five senses. This is how people process information. So that means V is visual, your eyes, A is auditory, your ears, K is kinesthetic, our feelings, so entire touch, O is olfactory, which is the smell, and G is gustatory, which is the taste. Now, this is important because this is how people process information. Now, VAK is common. V is common in everything because we all are visual. When I say a blue shirt, you didn't you visualize the blue colored shirt. You didn't visualize BLUESHIRT. Did you? No. So we all are visuals, and that's why pictorial presentations make a big difference. That's why visuals in presentations are very, very important. So you have to address all the different people because different people process information differently. So can you design your program in such a way that you address the VAK part of it? OG is typically not used, but if I'm presenting it to say housewives, if I'm presenting it to chefs, or if I'm presenting it to hospitality industry, then I would take cognizance of olfactory and gustatory words so that the impact of my presentation becomes very, very important. So understand VOKOG and kindly prepare your presentations accordingly. Now, people have different memories: early memory, mid memory, and late memory. Most of the people fall into the category of early memory and late memory, but there are some people who have mid memory also. So that's why opening and closing is critical for any presentation, any meeting, right? You will remember how the meeting started or how the meeting ended. Typically, the middle part is something which we skip. Okay, there are some people who remember the middle. So if you have a message, don't shoot, don't shoot your audience. Then have it early, have it late. At the end of the meeting, again have the same message. Somewhere in the middle, please present that same message so that you take care of each and every person in the audience. You have taken care of VOKOG, you've taken of the biases or the memories, that is the early, the mid, and the late memory. I think so if you take care of this, a lot of engagement will happen because you're taking care of each and every part of the audience. Consider giving handouts, especially when you have a lot of statistics, a lot of data to be given. Don't put the data on the slide. Put a slide, refer to the handout number one given to you, and you engage the audience. And finally, practice, practice, practice. It is so important for us to practice. Okay. Uh, Simply because I believe that everything in life is dynamic. People are different, situation is different, time is different, audience is different. While you are the same, the presentation is the same. The presentation cannot be the same. You will have to tweak it, twist it, turn it because of the presentation, and for which you will require practice, practice, practice. I never go without practicing. How I present my preparation is I have a tool called a mind map. I prepare a mind map first. From there, I prepare my presentation and then I deliver my presentation. So everything is organized because that mind map is an excellent tool to organize your thoughts. Okay. What comes first, what comes second, and it's kind of an amazing tool. You can color it, you can have amazing tool. Okay. So that's how I prepare. If you feel like using mind map, and I invite you to use mind maps because that's a very, very powerful way of processing information within your brain. Okay, it's a very, very powerful tool to organize. You can create mind maps for your meetings. What is it that I want to talk? This is what I want to talk. This is first, this is second. Okay, prepare, prepare, prepare. Preparation is the key. Remember that. Now comes to room layout. Whenever I am going to give a physical presentation, while currently the world is moving online, but it does not it's not going to be completely online, right? There are times when you have to give physical presentation. These times are going to we are going to come overcome the pandemic, and people are going to call you for presentations. So it is important for you to reach 1 hour before, okay, and consider the room layout depending on the topic that I have. If you want more control, if you want to be in control of the entire room, then have U shape. You stand in between the U and you have control and you look at each and every person. So U shape is where you want control. If you look at military meetings, they will always have a U shape. They will never have a round table conference. A round table conference takes a long time because if you want more engagement, if you want more freedom, then either a round table or cluster sitting is very, very important. Okay. And if it is just a presentation where you're giving information to people, then a classroom layout is perfectly fine. A theater layout is perfectly fine. Okay. So you will find it very difficult because if I have to do activities, then having the conference type of sessions or that really doesn't work, or the classroom setting cannot work. So then we have to find out whether there is room outside the room given some to create activities. So sometimes you will have to make those basic shifts, but consider various room layouts for your presentation. Check all the equipment. The equipments required are your presentations, your laptop, your pen drives, electrical connectors, extension cords, LCD projectors, mics, speakers, everything must be in perfect condition. Okay, I remember one time I had gone to one place where there were frequent power outages. So when I heard that, I said that I don't want a break in my presentation. So is there a UPS in this organization? And they said yes, but the UPS is there. I had to go out and buy two extra extension cords so that I could connect my laptop, and the presentation went on flawlessly. There were three power outages during that presentation, but the presentation went on. Okay, so this is very important because the last minute challenge, you don't know what kind of room that you might get. If you know the room, perfect, but still checking it out the last minute, something, sometime, it's ultimately technology, isn't it? Okay, and again, today we have whether we need a Wi-Fi, whether we don't need a Wi-Fi, all that stuff you need to take care of. So reach 1 hour before to handle any last minute challenges. Now, as I said, closing is as important as opening. Make your closing memorable, make it memorable, and you'll remember it for life. Using props in your presentations is extremely important. Tell a related story at the end of it. Okay, a story can make a huge difference at the end of the presentation, but it should be a related story. You can't tell any Tom, Dick, and Harry story. So make it memorable. I said the impact will be when you make the opening powerful and the closing powerful. Okay. Now we are going towards an online world. So let us look at a few things that are required in an online world. Understand the difference between a webinar and a meeting. When we want more engagement, participation from people, meeting is perfectly right. But if you want to have more control in your presentation and want more interference from other people in an online presentation, webinar is a better layout. Webinar is typically for a larger audience, meeting is for a smaller audience, right? Webinars can go as high as 1,000 people at a time. Okay, and meetings can be any. So if the numbers are large, then consider having a moderator in the room, the chat box, the hands, the emoticons, all those things that are there for engagement purpose will be handled by the moderator, and he can intervene or she can intervene during the presentation, and she can be a kind of a bridge between you and the audience. So consider having a moderator. Pump up the energy. You got to pump up the energy when it comes to online because that's the only mode that is there. The energy is so high, you have to make that energy so high that you got to pump your energy. Engagement tools can be many. Okay, so to polls, asking questions, giving them a Google form to type out something, chat box, keep the chat box continuously engaged. The engagement is when you every 2 minutes, if you ask them a question, if you are with me, type with you in the chat box. If you agree with me, put this hand emoticon. If you agree with me, type I agree. If you are interested in knowing this, type BIO. BIO is what? Bring it on. Or any other thing like that. When you keep on engaging, you got to make them engage, especially in an online presentation, because people can just log in into the webinar meeting and do whatever they want. But when you make them do something every 2 minutes, that means you're continuously engaging them, and that's how you can keep the energy high. You can keep up the topic, and you can have a powerful impact. Now, before I wind up, I'm going to give you a tool which you will so memorable that you will forget everything. This is a tool called one third plus one rule. You can use this in many different places. Okay, people are using this for pricing strategies. People are finding it amazing to build consensus in the team. People use this to come up with what are the top three things that I need to do after brainstorming. So let us dive. How many people are interested in a tool which helps them get this kind of consensus? Okay, if you are, type me in the chat box. So let me go to the gist. So let us say that there is a problem at hand, and I have about 12. I did a brainstorm with my team, and I asked them to come up with multiple solutions. Let's assume that there are 12 solutions on the or in the room. Now, I have flip charted it, or I have put it on the whiteboard so that everybody can see those 12 different solutions. Now the question will come, I can't work on all 12 of them. It's not possible. I don't have the resources to work, and some of them might not be workable at all. So how do I come up with the top three? So here's this tool called one third plus. So what do? We have 12 solutions divided by 3, which is equal to 4. 12 divided by 3 is equal to 4. 4 plus 1 is equal to 5. Now that one third is to bring out the bias from the room. Okay, it is one third plus 1. Okay, so it kills out the bias. Now what happens? We have the number 5 because 12 solutions, each person has 5 votes. Now the rule is that that person can vote, has to vote it for 5 different ideas. He can't vote it for all the 5 votes as one idea. Otherwise, he will, if his idea is there on the board, he is bound to give all the 5 votes to his own ideas. So to kill the bias, he has to give his thoughtful, he has to think through all the possible solutions that are there and give his 5 votes. Okay. Now you can be very, very innovative as far as the voting process is concerned. You can give them stickers, you can give them markers, you can leave that and tell them to come around, think through it and come back and vote. I'm sorry. But I'm telling you, this tool is so marvelous. It is so easy to come to a consensus of what are the top 3 things that I need to do. What are the top 3 strategies that we need to apply in our organization? I remember using this tool when I was in Chennai in an organization where there were 55 participants, and I was demonstrating them how to improve their customer service strategies. What can they do to improve? So we brainstormed, and there were about 35 odd ideas on the whiteboard. Now 55 people in the room, 35 ideas on the board. How much time do you think, if I did not have this tool present with me, would it be possible for me to come to a consensus? What are the top 3? Why? My God, it is impossible. Getting consensus, probably you will agree with me, is probably one of the most difficult things in meetings. So here we presented this. I told them that this is the tool. I gave them the required number of stickers, or you can just show of hands. You can find out whether people are cheating or not. If you take the total ones, you will automatically be able to find out. Obviously, people are not going to cheat out, but still, for fun sake, if there are some people who are there in the room, you got to be cognizant of that. Typically, people won't cheat. When they say 5 votes, they will vote 5. And then collectively, you total up individually all the numbers, and you will automatically have the top 3. And if there is a tie, you can again go brainstorm in this too and take this. So you can use this tool really, really amazingly. I'm telling you, this is something so powerful that you can use it in your meetings to come up with any problem solving, any solution that you want. This is a gift from my side, from you. Okay. So go ahead, use the things that the 7 tips that I have given you to create your presentation. Practice, 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 and don't forget the 1/3 plus 1 rule. Thank you.